let's talk about ghosts, spirits. I've always believed, even from a child, in spirits, and I've always been curious about it all. And doing silly things like Ouija boards as a teenager wasn't the best thing in the world to do, but I'm going to share with you a few things that I've experienced. I mean, I live with Ange, who sees dead people. She communicates, and I know various people that are genuinely gifted. I encounter people that are full of bullshit as well. I don't give it all a bad name, but there you go. So, what was kind of my first? I dated a biker. He was a lovely bloke, and we had some issues with one of the housemates I lived in, and we wanted him rid out of the house, and I asked my boyfriend at the time to do something to get rid of this person, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to put some protection on you, I'm going to do this." He was a white witch, he said, and I'm going to do some stuff. And I remember that night I was living in a shared house, and I went into bed, I had like a little bed, and it had like really old curtains that had holes in them. It was like 19, 20 odd or whatever at the time, and I'd left home from my parents, and I was a bit older, 21, don't know. And I remember going to bed, and I was, for once at that time, sober, wasn't stoned, wasn't on magic mushrooms or anything at the time, just normal night. And I remember the door to the bedroom was like at the other side of the room. Let me just turn this down because it's too loud. And I remember having this really uneasy feeling like something had entered, something had manifested, and I remember looking over to the far side of the bedroom. I was in bed, and I just saw this darkness, and it was coming like a massive wave across the room, and the curtains that you could see the street lights through with the holes in them, the darkness was just covering it, and I shit myself. I was like, what is that? And I remember closing my eyes, getting under the bed covers, and I must have passed out in fear or gone to sleep, and yeah, that was really weird. And I said to him the next day, I said, "Whatever you've done, you need to get rid of it." And he was like, "Well, it's always going to be there in case anything or anyone wants to attack you." And I was like, yeah, so that was one experience I had with seeing something very freaky. And then what else did we had? So I'm a bit of a gypsy. I move around places a lot. I get very bored, completely on the hunt and the search for things. And I'd moved in and out of my parents, back in and out, moved away, come back. And my old bedroom that I shared with my sister. I remember when I was a kid, one of my earliest memories of weird stuff was I was in bed and I was hearing voices. I was hearing voices, and it really was driving me mad one night. And I remember getting really panicky. I just said, stop, 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 stop it, go away. And they did. Quite lucky about that one. Don't know what that was all about, but so this bedroom at mum and dad's. When my granddad was alive, he had a dog when we were kids called Katy. She was a Yorkshire Terrier, and I was speaking to Sarah about this during my reading the other day, and she was a lovely little dog, dead funny, and she died, as dogs do. And so years later, I'm like staying at my parents in the double bed upstairs, and I'd always shut the bedroom door. And I remember I think it was the same time every night, I'd just feel something, and I'd feel it come in the room very slowly, be at the end of the bed, and I would have close my eyes. Sometimes I just don't want to see it. Whatever it is, I don't want to see it. And then it'd be at the end of my bed, and I'd have a duvet on, my legs were under the duvet, and I'd feel it coming up my bed. And it just sit there, and it was like felt like quite buzzy. And this would happen like virtually every night. And I kind of got used to it, but it still made me a bit freaked out. And eventually, like, years later when I started dating Ange, my wifey, I'd mentioned this, and she was like, it's Katie. Katie's looking after your dad. It's my mum and dad. She's at the house. I was like, oh, that's cool, brilliant. So that was that story. On Halloween, a number of years ago, my friend Vicky and I, we started going on ghost hunts. Dead exciting. I'd been to one on the Gallows of Justice, that was ace. And we had lots of activity with the judge there and tapping and things going off, and it was amazing. Really enjoyed it. I think I had a really bad stomach then while I was in there, and it was alright when I came out. But so we're at Woolerton Hall, we got this privilege to go on Halloween one night, and me and Vicky were like the last ones there because we got chips and we're eating those. And we went, one of the first, I can't remember what group it was, really cool people, really enjoyed it, and went down to this room. It was dark but green. We all sat in a circle and they were calling in some thing. I remember sitting there and you could kind of see the eerie green light, and someone was a sense, whatever, there was a ghost of a child in there. And I felt this presence beside me. It wasn't a person, it was, no one was there. And literally on my leg, it felt like someone was doing that. I could feel the spirit like literally touching my leg. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Freaky. That was brilliant. Brilliant that was. I had another experience when Ryan and Ange had a flat in Bestwood Park, and this was when we were first living together. It was like The Exorcist in there. It was built on an ancient burial ground. It was surrounded by bad energies and bad people. And it was awful. We moved. We had to move out of there. And I remember one night, we had like one of those pool lights in the middle of the bed. And one night, I was like laying there, pretty sober, as it always happens. And I looked across, I just opened my eyes, and there's a man just looking down at me, trying to get in me. Like in me. And I like jumped up, was like, Ange, pulling the light on. And she was like, what? And she had communications with him. And he was like, I need to like basically possess me to deliver a message to whoever it was. I can't remember his name was now. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And yeah, that was interesting, seeing him. And then at this house, there's a loft just up there. This house used to belong to my brother's friend and ex-neighbour who emigrated to Australia, and me and Ange had like a few days of bad vibes, a bit of arguments, and I just started to feel really uneasy in the house. And we do kind of vibe this house up and cleanse it a lot, and Ange has a lot of clients and people, so we do have to keep it nice and clear and things. I just felt really uneasy, and we were putting some stuff in the loft, and I went up there, and literally there was something up there, and I very slowly came back down the ladder, and I went, we are not alone. I was absolutely shitting my pants. And Ange went up there, very brave because she doesn't like going up ladders and heights, and she was like, it's a bloke, he is Simon's friend, he's looking for him, I've told him he's not here, you need to go and find him, he's elsewhere. And this bloke was really angry, this spirit was really angry because he couldn't find Simon in the house, and that was like really interesting. I had one of the most freaky experiences. We were in Somerset at this log cabin, and I don't remember being stressed. I'm always stressed with work, and sometimes it takes me a few days to calm my arse down. And we're in this log cabin, apart from this terrifying thing with a spider behind the mirror in the bathroom, which I actually videoed, but then I deleted it because there was that much swearing on it. It was embarrassing at the time. And I remember like going to bed, it was like, oh, really, we're chilled out. We'd had a bit of wine and booze and had a hot tub, and it was great, you know. And I remember laying in bed, I'm just fast asleep, sleeping like a log. And that was it. We were building a log fire in the And it suddenly went quite dark because it's quite later on in the year. And red like patio doors now. I just had this thing. Shut the doors, Angela. There's something out there. She's like, don't be stupid. It's just your imagination. You're just having a flit about werewolves and stuff. And I was like, oh. Anyway, really uneasy. Really, really, really uneasy. Like every sense was like, there's something out there. It's not good. And I remember like laying in bed that night, and I don't know what it was out there. It was circling the cabin. There wasn't noises, it wasn't owls. There was something out there circling the cabin, and I always had the most sleepless, horrific night, and I couldn't wait till dawn. And it was just freaked me out. And then today, so it's Claude, you're just having a flit. But I sensed something horrible out there. And yeah. So I've had a few like interesting experiences. I do enjoy ghost hunt because I like to shit myself. In my opinion, it's all real, and there's a lot of interesting things to explore. There's a lot of bullshit about there as well. I'm not an expert on anything. I don't profess to be an expert. I can only tell you what I've witnessed in my dialogue of what I have witnessed. Whatever the meaning behind it is, it is. Yeah, so that's kind of a little ghosties and kind of what we've kind of gone through. And but I remember there's a thing at Ange at the end of our road a few years ago, and it's very sad really, and there's a motorcyclist that used to speed along the road. It's an industrial estate, really fast every morning, could hear it, and unfortunately for him and the couple involved, the car came out, it was low sunlight, and he hit the car and had a massive accident. And I remember I was walking to the bus stop, and bless him, the ambulance was trying to resuscitate him, and I remember seeing stripy socks, taking his biker boots off, and Ange was like walking to the bus stop with me, and she just went grey, and we knew he'd passed, and she was like, you all right? And she was like, I can see his spirit. He's standing there in shock, looking down on him. Then I had to take her for a cup of tea in town and calm her down, and that was a really weird experience for her. And Ange's got tons of stories about what she experienced. So she's like busman's holiday for everything. She won't come on ghost hunts with me because she's like, oh, that's busman's holiday, so I have to go with my other mates. And yeah, there's some interesting things. Energies don't just disappear. I've had things about my mum, and things told me that no one else would know, and information that no one else would know, and it's comforting to know that she's looking out for us, she's all right. The main thing is she's all right, and the main thing is that we look after my dad and each other. And I've had some amazing colleagues this last when I've gone back to work, and it's so lovely to have a hug with the masks on, because we have to wear masks, and so it's so nice to have a hug off and chats with my lovely, because they are like a family. I've been in that for quite a few years now, in procurement with them all, and for all the ups and downs and all the frustrations and stress that the job entails, I do work with some really cool people. It's just the circumstances that piss me off, but that's another story. Yeah, so I just wanted to tell you about that. But the Katy thing, Katy the Yorkshire Terrier, for me, I do feel things quite deeply and quite empathic, so I do struggle with negative people and energies and sensing vibes. It helps immensely being a musician because I feel things and I create things with those vibes, but I'm shit at protecting myself. But I know there's techniques I can use and things like that to help with that, but I get drained, and I do want to go and live in the middle of nowhere and have a larder full of cans and rices and pulses and do that, and grow tomatoes and vegetables, and there you go. But that's another thing, but that's where we're at. That's my little thing about my ghosties. Ooh.